Yes, it's Tales from the Jails with John G. Sutton. Do please like and subscribe. It really helps, And leave the comments. If you've got any comments, criticisms or requests, I will be delighted to see them and I will respond to the best of my ability. Let's talk today about the problems of overcrowding in British prisons, specifically HMP Pentonville. There's recently been a documentary on the BBC concerning this, where they've interviewed various inmates and prison officers who are all stating that the prison is absolutely broken. It was built, Pentonville Prison, in 1842, so that's 180 years ago, and it was built to house 532 inmates. Today it holds over 1,200, 80% of which are on remand. Now, if you've got people who are on remand for 2 years, 18 months, typical these days, they're ostensibly innocent individuals, innocent until proven guilty, but they're held in strict conditions, cellular accommodation, which is vastly overcrowded, and according to the BBC and all the reports I can see, including the Inspectorate of Prisons, they're saying that Pentonville is not fit for purpose. Why is it not fit for purpose? Well, it's a rat-infested, mice-infected, infected cockroaches, filth, the toilets don't work. The basic premise of the place is that it's supposed to hold prisoners in a safe condition and rehabilitate them. They don't even pay lip service to rehabilitation at Pentonville because there is no rehabilitation. Now, that's a disgrace. We're taking people off the streets, imprisoning them. 80% of the inmates are innocent until proven guilty, locked in the cells 23 hours a day, and that is going to be soul-destroying. Now, the BBC were interviewing some inmates, and one of which said he'd rather be dead. Another inmate complaining that the toilet in his cell hadn't worked for weeks, and he'd been complaining about this. Where are the works department? Now, back in the 70s when I was there, they had works department officers that came in and did the repair work. It seems that these have gone now, probably privatised, and that the prison officers are basically being little more than turnkeys. But places like Pentonville, where incidents are kicking off, apparently, according to the BBC, one day when they were there were 30 separate alarm bell incidents. Now, you don't know what you're going to on one of these alarm bells. I've been on many myself, and usually what you used to find in the 70s and 80s was inmates attacking each other or people being seriously injured and inmates ready to fight with the officers. So you had to be prepared to actually go in there and take them down. Of course, when you're taking them down, you've got to ship them off, pick them off bodily, throw them into the block. But 30 incidents in a day. Back in the 70s and 80s, you might get 2 or 3 a week. But 30 in one day is a clear indication that the system is completely and utterly shattered, broken, beyond repair. Of course, an ancient prison like that, 180 years old, it isn't designed for what it's being used for today. Back in the 1800s, when it was built, 1842, there'd be a thing called hard labour, where they'd have to do certain tasks, often some in the cell, where they had what's known as the crank, which is how prison officers came to be known as screws. Because at the top of this crank, which was like a mangle, you had to turn the crank round, and it had a numbering device upon it which would count the number of turns you did, and depending upon the size and strength of the inmate depended upon how much effort had to be put in. This was controlled by a screw at the top of the crank, for which the prison officers had the key. So they would evaluate the inmate, and depending upon bodily capabilities, would either strengthen or release the pressure on the crank. But they'd have to take something like 10,000 turns a day. That was their hard labour. So you can imagine being in a cell, turning all this thing, and you've got to put some real effort into it, because the prison officer or screw had actually tightened up the tension. So that's how prison officers came to be known as screws. But in Pentonville today, they don't have anything like that. They don't have any rehabilitation. They can't let them out for educational classes. They can't even get them into the courts, because the court system is another part of the criminal justice scheme in Great Britain that is fractured. And it's fractured because the courts can't maintain the volume of cases that are being thrown at them. And of course, that leads on to the police being told that they shouldn't arrest people for certain offences, and that now to actually process a case, it has to go to a senior officer, like an inspector, before it's decided whether or not they will prosecute. Back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, police officers made that decision. They wrote the report up, charged the offender, and put it before the courts. But they can't even get to the courts these days, because the court system cannot cope. Listen, one of the reasons that the courts can't cope is because of the volume of motoring offences that they're dealing with. In the Greater London area, in the last 12 months, has been over 250,000 prosecutions for motoring offences. That's people failing to pay their inner London environment tasks, this zone that they've got there. People actually exceeding 20 miles an hour, because a number of the roads are down to 20 miles an hour. And the courts are just like a machine processing these. I went to see one magistrate's court where they were processing 60 cases a day. Now that's not justice. And people go to court and say, look, I didn't do this. They have no proof. They can't prove it. But they rely upon you paying the fine. Because if you don't pay the fine straight away, it just doubles up, triples up. You end up getting paying something like £1,000 for a £60 speeding offence. One gentleman actually defended himself, and it cost him £10,000 to prove that he was not guilty. What are you going to do? Are you going to pay £60 and take the 3 points? Or are you going to fight it and pay £10,000? The whole system is broken. And places like Pentonville, outdated, outmoded, unfit for their accepted practice and purpose, without any hope of the inmates being rehabilitated, and subject to extreme violence through gangs, the drugs that are in the prison driving people absolutely crazy. I've never tried any myself, but I believe that spice puts you in a completely different dimension. So there we have it. That's today's little rant on tales from the jails. do please like and subscribe, and leave me some comments below. I absolutely like that. And don't forget to get my books, folks. They're on Amazon. And I've had a request from a lady called Catherine, who has previously helped me by proofreading my manuscripts. She asked me if I will sing a Billy Fury song. Well, the one that I believe is Billy Fury's best song. Well, it's personally my favourite of Billy Fury's is Halfway to Paradise. So we got the song dinger coming up here, yeah. So we don't have any complaints from the likes of Larry the Goat Herd. Yeah, here we are. That's the song dinger. It's an alarm bell for all those who are sensitive to actually me murdering songs. But this is specifically for Catherine, and it's Billy Fury's Halfway to Paradise. Say goodbye to Halfway to Paradise. It's about to get emasculated. Well, I'll do my best, but it won't be very good, as you probably already assessed. Yeah, based on previous experiences of songs that have died in Tales from the Jails. Halfway to Paradise. I want to be your lover, but your friend is all I stayed. I'm only halfway to paradise, so near, yet so far away. I long for your lips to kiss my lips, but just when I think they may, you lead me halfway to paradise, so near, yet so far away. Being close to you is almost heaven, but seeing you can do just so much. It hurts me so to know your heart's a treasure, and that my heart is forbidden to touch. So put your sweet lips close to my lips and tell me that's where they'll stay. Don't lead me halfway to paradise, so near, yet so far away. Oh, so near, yet so far away. There you go. That was specifically from Catherine. Seriously hope you enjoyed that, and if you did, see me on the sick parade tomorrow morning. I've got a syringe. You get your arse full of Largactil.